Anthony Trindle, but I'm also Dr. Timaree, and my PhD is in human sexuality. And I'm going to talk to you about dual citizens,
Hell yeah.
gay walkers,
Yeah.
bisexual.
Yeah.
Who are we? What do we want? So bisexuals are folks who are attracted to people of the same gender or different genders. And that is to clarify that bisexuals come in all shapes and sizes from all walks of life and all genders, because gender identity is actually different than sexual orientation. And that's an important thing that we need to start off with. When we look at the 4.5% of Americans that identify as lesbian, gay, or bisexual, we see that bisexuals actually comprise a significant percentage. In some surveys, more than the other two combined. Yet we're the least represented. The first time that anyone used the term bisexual was to refer to the group that we would now use the phrase intersex. And I mention that because words change and evolve over time. That's how we use them. And the word bisexual is not meant to be taken as a literal reiteration of the gender binary. So I also mentioned that because anytime we talk about bisexuals, we have to first start with, here's a list of bullshit. And things that people say about us, whether we have given them any reason for that or not. There's a whole list of things that people assume about bisexuals, that they're either just doing it for the attention, or they're actually gay but can't come out, they're incapable of long-term commitments, and the most pernicious myth of all is actually the idea that we don't even exist. I'm just making it up. Yeah. So there are small and large ways in which people erase the existence of bisexuals, and some of those are because people actively choose so, and other times because it's just non-inclusive language. And a perfect example of that is when people talk about gay marriage, when you don't actually know the orientation of the people in that relationship, and you have, by de facto, erased the possibility that either of them are bi. And that is just one small way. There are also lots of folks who just deny that it's possible or actively mislabel people who have identified as bi. And then there's also a lot of folks who will assume, based on your current relationship status or your previous dating history, that they know who you are. And unless you have fucked every single person you ever wanted to, your dating history should not be, necessarily used against you that way. So why? Why is this a problem? Well, the first thing is, our culture is pretty homophobic. And our culture also has a tendency to think in binaries, black, white, gay, straight, and this is just an example. And if the majority of the population is monosexual, that is, only interested in one gender, apparently it is difficult for those folks to think outside of that spectrum. There's also a gendered component to it as well. Bisexual women are likely to be fetishized, while bisexual men are very unlikely to actually come out because they experience so much opprobrium. So some folks will say, like, well, I don't call myself bisexual because I will date trans and non-binary people. Cool, well, so will I. That's not a reason not to call yourself not bisexual. Because the purpose of these identifiers is for me to find my tribe and to find empowerment in who I am, is not for people on the outside to tell me who I am. And transphobia is an issue across all sexual orientations. It's actually not a feature of bisexuality. So don't put that on us. That's everybody's problem. So call yourself whatever the fuck you want, date whoever the fuck you want, don't tell anybody else who they are or what that means about them. Okay? Cool. This is important because not only are we talking about everybody feeling empowered and finding a group in which they belong, but because bisexuals experience both the marginalization of homophobia and also exclusion from the gay community, they are the most likely, out of all sexual orientations, to experience mental health issues, substance abuse, and even domestic violence. There are major ramifications for excluding people and telling them that they are not who they say they are. But the future is bright, because if you look at young folks, the younger and younger a person you survey, the more likely they are to identify that they are not either exclusively gay or straight. There's something in between, fluid, etc. So going forward, we have a lot of hope for the future. But this means bisexual visibility. And what does that entail? So that means coming out and having role models and people who do things that you want to do, and they're out in the world, and you're like, okay, maybe I can do that too. And while we have a lot of great representation in media, not all bisexuals are rock stars. All bisexuals. And it's a very major issue in the workplace because bisexuals are the least likely of any orientation to come out at their jobs because it's considered like not worth the risk. So we have to use a lot more inclusive language and a lot more inclusive intentionality in our organizations and our jobs if we want to fix this issue. So you can always read more about bi stuff, and you can also just see nudity on my website. So, sexualtimaree.com. Thank you.